Hi everybody, it's Paul Tilley, and I'd like to take this opportunity to talk to you today about our marketing research telephone survey project in this course. As I mentioned to you before, as part of a project with the Office of Public Engagement, which is an arm of the provincial government, our task will be to conduct a survey that will help them determine what some of the needs are in this particular region of the province that study area is looking at. Your task is to actually complete the surveys. So that means physically phoning people and asking them a series of questions. The purpose of this video today is to give you a clear understanding of what's expected and the types of questions that you'll be asking and how you should go about asking them. So, without any further ado, let's take a look at what is first required. This video is broken into 5 major components. The first thing I wanted to do was to outline the first stage of the project, and that's read the requirements. I want you to be aware of exactly what the requirements are for the project. The second part of the video will look at the actual survey. What is being asked, how is it being asked, and I'm going to go through the actual survey with you to let you understand what, again, you need to be doing there. The third thing that we need to look at today is a phone list that I've sent you out. This phone list consists of a series of numbers, and your task is to use those series of numbers as the calling numbers. The fourth thing I want to talk to you about is the actual call. What you need to do when you actually call people. And finally, what I want to discuss with you is how do you record the fact you've made these calls. Okay, without any further ado, let's look at the actual requirements for the project. As you're well aware, some of the issues surrounding the sustainability of rural Newfoundland have been front and center in a lot of people's minds over the last number of years. This is particularly true with researchers who are in the process of trying to figure out how can we ensure sustainability so that rural Newfoundland actually survives. This research project is really geared at finding people's thoughts on the sustainability of their communities and the sustainability of their regions. Your task is to ask some questions related to that, and then we'll compile this data into a report that will help feed government policy. The first thing you really need to do is to make yourself familiar with the actual survey. Now, the survey is contained online. In fact, in the material that I gave you on the website, you will see a link to the survey, and it's called Fluid Surveys. When you bring up the survey, what you're going to see is the very first thing up on the top. You'll see Regional Sustainability Survey. Just below that, you'll see 0%, meaning that the survey is 0% completed. The first thing you need to do as an individual is for research assistance, please enter your initials in the section that says enter your initials. Okay, so you put your initials in right here. Next, you're going to start completing section 8. Next, you're going to complete section A, living in the Clarenville Bonavista region. The first series of questions look at your opinions with respect to living in the Clarenville Bonavista region. Question 1. In which community or town do you currently live? You will see that there is a drop-down menu on the right-hand side, this little upside-down triangle. You'll click on that, and it will give you a list of communities. Communities are listed alphabetically, so please select the appropriate community. Once you've got that done, you can move on to question A2. In the event that the community that you're calling is not necessarily in that list, you can type it into the section right here. Question 2, how long have you lived in the Clarenville Bonavista region? And the note to the interviewer is just ask the question versus listing the answers. So simply people are going to say, I've lived here for 10 years. Your job then is to select. So we have radio buttons over here on the left, and you will go and select the appropriate radio button by clicking on it with the mouse. You'll see a little red dot will come in there. The third question asks, how connected do you feel to the rest of your community? And what we mean by connectedness is the fact that you have a sense of belonging, some shared values, and some common interests. So people will either answer one of 5 possible answers. Very connected, somewhat connected, not at all connected, don't know, or prefer not to say. We'd like you to read out those potential answers, and people will select the one that's appropriate to them. Question 4 asks, how connected do you feel with the rest of the Clarenville Bonavista region? So again, very similar. Select one response. Very connected, somewhat connected, not connected at all, don't know, prefer not to say. So you select the appropriate answer that the person gives you there. Question A5, are you planning to move outside the Clarenville Bonavista region in the next 5 years? Here we have a simple yes or no, but if they say no, you go to question 8.7. If they say yes, you go to, it will bring you to another response. So this is what we call a branch. Based on the answer here then, it's going to determine the next set of questions that you get. So you click next at the bottom of the screen, and that'll bring you up to the next section. Question A7, how welcoming do you feel your community is to newcomers? Again, select one response only, and it ranges from very welcoming, somewhat welcoming, not at all welcoming, don't know, or prefer not to say. That's the end of section A. Section B deals with activities and lifestyle in the Clarenville Bonavista region. The questions in this section are about your activities and lifestyle in the Clarenville Bonavista region. B1, how active is your current lifestyle? And the potential responses are very active, somewhat active, not active at all, don't know, prefer not to say. Again, you need to read those out to the individual. They'll select one of them. Question B2, what, if anything, prevents you from being more active? And we have a bunch of alternatives here. We'd like you to read out all of those alternatives. Work, caring for family, school, lack of recreational facilities, other, nothing, don't know, prefer not to say. Now, the important thing with this question is you can have more than one potential answer. So someone could select work, someone could select sharing with child, school, lack of recreational facilities, and if they say anything else, type it in the other section. Question B3, are you currently employed? A simple yes or no answer. Some people will come up with don't know or prefer not to say, but again, pretty straightforward, yes or no. You click next. Bring you to question B6. How often do you volunteer in your community? And again, you need to respond, you need to say out the responses. Never, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. No set time, whenever needed. Other, don't know, prefer not to say. You select the appropriate answer there. Question B7. Do you own a vehicle? Yes, no, don't know. You need to lay that out. Question B8. Do you have access to a vehicle for transportation if needed? Yes or no. Question B9. If public transportation was made available in your community in the form of ride sharing or a bus service, would you use the service? Yes, no, maybe, don't know. You need to spell out, and you need to specify which one. Question B10. Have you noticed any effects of climate change in your community or your region within the past 2 decades? 2 decades is 20 years. Yes or no, or prefer not to say. It will branch again depending on the answer. It will give you a response. Section B11, what changes have you noticed? That only applies if they say yes. Temperature changes, hotter in the summer, colder in the winter. Changes in precipitation, more or less rain, more or less snow. Changes in vegetation, changes in annual populations. Don't know, prefer not to say. Next, B12. Next, I'll read a series of environmentally friendly activities. For each one, please tell me if you're always, sometimes, or never engage in these activities at home. So, actively reducing the amount of waste you produce. Again, you have a radio button with the 4 alternatives: always, sometimes, never, don't know. You select the one that they select. Seeking to minimize the amount of energy, electricity, gas, oil used. You select the appropriate one. Walking, cycling, or using public transit. Again, you select the appropriate one. Minimizing water usage, select the appropriate one. And growing, foraging, picking. Foraging means just going to look for. Picking or hunting your own food. You select the appropriate one. That's the end of section B. Section C looks at the role of government and business in the Clarenville-Bonavista region. Question C1 says, are you satisfied with the efforts of your town council or local service district committee? Yes, no, somewhat, not applicable, don't know, prefer not to say. Again, the response will determine what the next question is. But there's an important thing: if no or somewhat, please explain here. You have to ask them why, and that's where you type in this little bit in that box right there. Question C2, do you feel the provincial government listens to the public when it makes decisions? Yes, no, somewhat, not applicable, don't know, prefer not to say. Question C3, how much do you feel the business in your community contribute to the community organizations and activities? A lot, a little, none, don't know, prefer not to say. Question C4, do you feel business in your communities are environmentally responsible in their operations? Yes, no, somewhat, not applicable, don't know, prefer not to say. That's the end of questions from section C. Now we move to section D. Future of the Clarenville-Bonavista region. Next, we'll look at your opinions on the future of the Clarenville-Bonavista region. Question D1, I'm going to read a series of factors that could potentially have an impact on the future sustainability of your community. For each factor, please tell me if this is a major concern to you, somewhat of a concern, or not a concern at all. So we have our various choices here: major, somewhat, not a concern, don't know, prefer what to say, not to say. So we have a series here: aging population. So simply you ask aging population, big concern, somewhat of a concern, not a concern at all. Affordable housing, employment opportunities, loss of cultural heritage, involvement in community activities, correctness along residents or connectedness along residences, access to health care, education services, access to affordable and healthy food, air quality, drinking water quality, sewage treatment, green space and protected areas, that's really parks, transportation infrastructure, communications infrastructure, availability of retail and commercial services. Note, record any concerns made on these issues. So here's an opportunity for the people to say something there. Please record it in this section here. Question D2, are there other concerns you have about the future sustainability of your community that we have not listed in the previous question? Again, an opportunity for people to add some things here. You want to put them in note form or jot form. You don't need to write a story here, but you do need to capture the detail of what the person said. Moving to the next, we move on to section E, and this is the final section, demographics. And what we're relating to in terms of demographics is, final few questions are for research and statistical purposes only. Please be assured your responses will be kept confidential. That's important to read that section. Question E1, please specify your gender, male, female, other. Question 2, which of the following categories best describes your age? And again, you have a range of selections, so you need to be able to spell it out: 18 to 29, 30 to 44, 45 to 59, 16 older, prefer not to say. Question E3, please provide a number of people currently living in your household: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or more than 5, prefer not to say. Question E4, what's the highest level of education you've completed? Less than high school diploma, high school diploma, high school equivalency, some college private training institute, college private training institute diploma or certificate, including apprentices, so people if they have a trade, for example, some university or university degree, don't know, prefer not to say. If there's anything else, please type it in here. Question E5, did you attend your post-secondary studies within the Clarenville-Bonavista region or outside the Clarenville-Bonavista region? within or outside are the simple responses, and both, portion of studies inside and outside, which is potential, don't know, prefer not to say. Section F is a very final section, and that allows for someone to write any comments that they want. Do you have any additional comments about issues affecting the future of your community or suggestions for how these issues could be addressed? So yes, recorded comments, no. Then finally you have to say thank you very much for your time. Look for your results of this research in your local paper or at www.ruralresilience.ca. Once you've completed the survey, you thank the person, and you hang up, and then you press submit. And that submission will automatically send the results of the survey to the data capture computer, and that's all you really have to do with it. So there's the survey and how you handle the survey. I've also sent you a list of telephone numbers. Now what you need to do is work your way through that list, because some people are going to say, no, I'm too busy, no, I'm not interested, no, I don't want to. What we want you to do is to contact 10 respondents, meaning you need 10 completed surveys. These surveys will, if you enter them in the system correctly and you press send, they'll get sent off to the computer system, and we'll be able to tally how many you actually did. Now, this is a very important bit of research, and is something that will contribute to economic development in our region. And this is going to be done across Newfoundland, but the first pilot is being done in the Clarenville, Bonavista region. Now that you've had an opportunity to review the survey, one of the things we want to look at next is how do you actually make the phone calls? Well, I've sent you over the phone list, so you're going to start at the first phone number. You're going to call that number, someone's going to answer the phone. And you're going to say to them, hi, my name is, and I'm calling from the College of the North Atlantic as part of a class project supervised by instructor Paul Tilley and on behalf of Memorial University and the Clarenville Bonavista Rural Secretariat Regional Council. We're conducting a general survey on what residents consider to be critical issues for a sustainable future for your community and the Clarenville Bonavista region. And we would like to get your opinion on this important issue. We want to speak to someone in your household that is over 18 years of age. Would you be interested in taking 10 minutes to actually complete the survey? At that point in time, the person's going to say, yeah, I'll do that, or no, I'm not interested. If they're not interested, or if they say, no, I don't want to, then we thank them and we hang up. If they are interested, then we move on to saying that your participation is completely voluntary and there are no negative consequences if you don't answer the questions. Okay? So, then you launch into the survey. Now it's important before you launch into the survey that you have your computer open so that you can actually fill in the information. If you can't do that, it's important that you have a paper copy of the questionnaire at hand. Now, if you have access to the college, there should be room in the college for you to actually make these phone calls during the day. And if you don't have room in the college, you can actually make them at home or anywhere else you'd like. The point of it is that you need to ensure that people are aware of what you're calling for, what the survey is about, and the fact that it will take it about 10 minutes to complete. If you give them that information, then they can make a decision of whether or not they want to participate. Don't be alarmed if many people say, no, I'm not interested. And that's why I've sent you so many numbers. Because we figure that about 1 in 4 people will actually participate. Once they agree to participate, then you start the survey with them. And with regards to the grading for this, essentially, you do the work, you get the marks. That's the simple philosophy of how it works.